Pam Sevenbergen, my worst fear. My worst fear, Pam Sevenbergen.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. It actually happened. My worst fear finally came true. What was this fear that caused me to plug my nose and gasp for air? It was stinky feet. Yes, that anxiety that comes wafting up every time I enter someone's home, every time I go shoe shopping, was ignited like a giant stink bomb. It started as a loving deed. I was in Georgia, trimming my mother's rose bushes. I felt a bite. I felt another. And then another. I looked down, and my feet and my calves were covered with vicious fire ants. I had stepped on their nest, and they were taking revenge with hundreds of bee sting-like bites. I tried to brush them off, but the tiny soldiers, they had me outnumbered. I grabbed the water hose. I tried to wash them away. It worked. But there was a problem. There were hundreds inside my shoes, having a little feast on my feet. I took that water hose and stuck it in my shoes and drowned those little vermin. I took off my saturated sneakers and left them on the cardboard. Forgot about them until the next day, when my sister arrived to take me to the airport. My feet were met with cold dampness as I slid them into my shoes. Guess my trip home will be a little uncomfortable. Sis and I got in the car. Sis, what's that smell? I don't know, Pam. I thought I cleaned out my car. I'm so embarrassed. It's coming from up here. It's my feet. Oh, Pam, those are nasty. We stopped at the local drugstore and purchased foot powder. I poured that powder into my shoes where it quickly coagulated from all the moisture. I dumped it out, poured more powder in, let it set, dumped it out, poured more in. I did this 4 times. Each time a cloud of fine white mist engulfed my body. I arrived at the airport. There I was, a microbiologist covered with white anthrax-like powder. And my husband is an airline mechanic.
Oh, no.
And I am flying on a last-minute, one-way standby ticket. If ever I need a TSA pre-check, now would be the time. It didn't happen. I handed my ID to the TSA agent. Sir, I have an inch of white foot powder in each of my shoes. Is that going to be a problem? I promise it's not a bomb. Well, that's okay, ma'am. We get stinky feet in here all the time. As long as they don't stink. Now those familiar with Southern dialect, the word stank means stink badly. And the longer and harder the A sound and the more syllables, the worse it is. Oh, They stink bad. You'll still have to remove your shoes, ma'am. I placed my shoes in the bin while those around me tried not to gag or pass out. My shoes went through their x-ray machine. I went through my x-ray machine. It was pat down time. With every pat, there was a puff of powder that You're free to go, ma'am. I continued on down the gate, leaving a trail of white powder and stench with every step. I boarded the aircraft. During the pre-flight safety briefing, I thought about using my Toastmaster skills to persuade the flight attendant to deploy that oxygen masks for the breathing comfort of my fellow flyers. Then I thought better of it. But a miraculous thing happened. Towards the end of my flight, I no longer noticed that foul odor flooding from my feet. That foot powder must have finally worked. I disembarked from the aircraft, walking confidently through the MSP airport, thinking that I no longer left a path of olfactory destruction in my wake. I arrived at my husband's car, where he immediately said, "Oh, babe, I love you. I missed you. But what is that smell?"